Now the Scandinavians are back. Third placing in the USA 94 World Cup was an all-time high, but the Australians plan to cut the Swedes down to size. Live from Brisbane, international soccer, Australia versus Sweden.
Graham Arnold will play his 49th match for Australia tonight, and he will lead the attack in search of his 18th international goal. Zelko Kalats will return in goal for Australia. Each game for his country increases his chances of extending his English work permit. Late disappointment though for Australian fans, as Robbie Slater failed a fitness test on a troublesome hamstring, and Danny Tiasso also forced to withdraw with a virus contracted in England. 6 players in this Swedish side are supplied by one club, IFK Gothenburg, by far their country's most successful club in recent years. Australians may recognise several players. Roland Nielsen at right back, he spent 5 years in England with Sheffield Wednesday. Also Håkan Mild and Magnus Erlingmark both played in USA 94. The 4th player though is the number 9, Nicholas Alexanderson. He scored the equalising goal and the winning penalty in a recent tournament in Hong Kong. And as Les alluded to earlier on, it is a perfect evening here in Brisbane for this big match between Australia and Sweden. Estimated attendance here at Suncorp is about 10,000, but they're still queuing up outside to try and get in. as both sides pose for the traditional team photos before this match starts. This is the fourth occasion that Australia have met Sweden. All previous three matches have been in Australia, with Sweden yet to score a goal against the Socceroos. Tonight's man in the middle will be Eugene Brazale from Victoria. Of course, he was at USA 94 as a linesman. He hopes to return to France in 98 as a referee. It's Australia to kick off. Two men leading the forward line tonight. Joe Spiteri from the Melbourne Knights, alongside Graham Arnold, one of our European stars with NAC Breda in Holland. Such disappointment for Danny Tiato and Robbie Slater. Tiato only really informing the coaching staff of his discomfort late on in the afternoon. He is here at the stadium apparently, but Eddie Thompson has decided to keep him separate from the rest of the squad, just in case there's any possibility of infection. So many of the supporters here came to see Robbie Slater, and hopefully on the match on Wednesday night, Robbie will be back in action. Zelko Kalets gets his first touch. Still a Leicester player, though currently training at Wolverhampton Wanderers, hoping to finalise that transfer before the end of the season. High ball up for Arnold, nice touch back. First shot came in from Wade. And your first touch in a big match like this, you hope, is a good one. Wade has, of course, scored against Sweden back in 1992 with a goal he rates as his best ever for Australia, a fine header from just outside the penalty area at Olympic Park. Anderson in goal for Sweden. High ball forward, which will run through to Australia's goalkeeper, Zelko Kalets. And Milan Ivanovic starts things from the back, just slipping slightly as he gets familiar with the surface. First time touch to Lozanovsky. Sebastian Henriksson for Sweden. It's his debut tonight. It's three other teammates also making their debut for Sweden. We'll be monitoring them as the match goes on. That will work in Australia's favour. Talking to Eddie Thompson earlier in the day, I asked him what his tactics would be, and the plan for the opening 10 minutes is to close the Swedes down very quickly indeed, just to see if they can cope with the pressure on the ball. They come forward now. Popovic back in time to cover for Australia. The run was from Anderson, another Anderson. Graham Arnold touches back to the captain, Wade. John, you, of course, you were at the USA 94 and saw Sweden play on many times. What sort of game can we expect from them tonight?
Well, I think we're all impressed with what they did in Sweden. It was quite an outstanding performance to reach such a position, third in the Cup. They pushed Brazil in the two meetings as well as any other team. A very fair team. We've always come to admire the Swedish sports people, particularly their tennis players. That does go off into their football, a very fair style of play. But I think this opening minutes will be very much a testing period, just to get on your feet, just to see where the opponent's coming from, and that applies to both sides. But as it settles down, I think a much more open and free-flowing game than perhaps the little bit of a stalemate that we're seeing naturally in these opening minutes.
Roland Nielsen out wide to Nicholas Alexanderson. He is a real form player, a midfielder with an eye for goal. one of the 6 Gothenburg players on show tonight. Sweden have come here from Hong Kong, where they played a tournament over there. They beat Japan in the final of the tournament. It was the same Japanese side that Australia defeated 3-0 in Melbourne a week or so ago. It was a 1-1 draw after full time. It went to extra time and the Swedes won on penalties by 5-4. So a very even match there. Ivanovic tries to clear the ball away, but he's lost possession on the edge of the penalty area. Alexanderson. A nice ball back to Roland Nielsen. And the cross was disappointing from the experienced defender. But it was a lively bit of play from Nicholas Alexanderson to set up Nielsen for the cross. There was some concern in the Australian camp about the withdrawal of Danny Tiato. Pace down the left-hand side of the park was the major concern there. Robbie Hooker, who did a great job against Japan, slotting into that left-back role. Here's Damien Murray.
Yes, the advantage on that Tiato absence is that Hooker, probably defensively a fine defender. Tiato more renowned for the attacking raids down the left, but more than compensated, particularly as one of Hooker's jobs will be to pick up Alexanderson, who is a very key player for Sweden.
Foul there by Goran Lozanowski, playing just his 3rd international. One of Australia's best players in the recent Oceania qualifying tournament for the Olympic side. Gets his chance at the highest level, and that is a bad challenge from Goran Lozanowski. Perhaps a little lucky not to get the yellow card. The ball comes in, cleared away by Wade. Throw in to Sweden.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit of inexperience in that challenge. Just a little bit late, it wasn't on.
Flicked on. Ivanovic was fouled there by the number 17, Andreas Andersson. There's a look at the Swedish bench. Tony Popovic. Still not a lot of room to operate for either side as we move into the 7th minute. Blagojevic out wide for Lozanowski. Crucial wide role for Goran Lozanowski. Eddie Thompson rates him the best crosser of the ball that he's seen.
It's been an amazing 2 months for him, really. He was had Sean Cranny been fit, of course, perhaps Goran wouldn't have been in the starting lineup for those Olympic qualifiers. Cranny out injured. Lozanowski comes in and was one of the players, if not the player, of that Oceania qualifying tournament.
Nielsen forward, went past Wade, looking to find number 8, Håkan Mild, into the corner.
I do expect Sweden to be strong on this right side, Paul. The quartet, all 3 of the Gothenburg players, I should say, Mild, Alexanderson and Erlingmark, certainly would be a lot more than the normal understanding between those club mates.
Spiteri for Australia. Murray hit straight into an offside position in front of Joe Spiteri, so the night striker was forced to delay the pass. Now Australia have a throw down the line to Spiteri. Lost out under strong pressure from behind by Mikael Nielsen. Got a ahead on the ball, but just succeeded in knocking it back. Popovic will go all the way back. Kalats with the first-time clearance up the field. Arnold challenging. Held nicely for Graham Arnold. Holds the ball up very well indeed and brings Lozanovsky into the match. Well, that was the intention at least, but it was stolen well by Svensson. Great challenge there by Graham Arnold as he worked back in midfield. The ball was given away after it was so well won by Australia. Legs gone up for a foul throw. That was the signal anyway from the Australian players, and the referee just checks with the linesman to see what the decision was, but it's actually a free kick. Must have been a bit of pushing by an Australian on the back of a Swede. Danger here for Australia. Number 9 over the ball is Alex Anderson. Two-man wall for Australia. Kalats just checks that the near post is covered. Everyone back for Australia. Tense moments early on. The ball comes over to the far post, cleared by Wade. And the throw-in will be Australia's. But some nervous moments as we see what the Swedes can do with a free kick close to goal. Nice touch on to Damien Murray. Good switch of play, bringing Hooker into the game. This is more promising by Australia. Blagojevich, Lozanovsky out wide. Still Lozanovsky, though he appeared to stumble. Got the ball to Blagojevich, though. And that was a clear trip by Hackenmild on Milan Blagojevich. A yellow card to the Swedish number 8. Was Lozanovsky just getting the ball back to Blagojevich, and it was an intentional trip. Now Sweden have some defending to do of their own. 2 in the wall. Tobin, Arnold, Popovic, Wade, all at the far post for Australia. Murray with the decoy run. Ball deep, too deep in fact, but the goalkeeper's dropped it and he lost it completely. And Australia win a corner. For Bengt Anderson, it really was a comfortable take for an international goalkeeper. But Arnold was lurking behind him, and the goalkeeper lost it. And it's a corner to the Socceroos. Lozanovsky will take it. Deep, the goalkeeper comes again. This time he got nowhere near the ball. Sweden trying to clear it all away. Spiteri, Blagojevich. And that will be another corner, I'd say. John, we talked about the Japanese goalkeeper's ability in the air, and what are your early impressions of this chap?
Well, we didn't expect it from Sweden, did we, from Anderson. The problem when the goalkeeper is so unsure in the air, it just sends the shivers through the defence, takes the confidence away from them. Let's see how he handles this one.
Right in on the goalkeeper. No one there for Australia. Interestingly enough, Anderson stayed on his line. Perhaps some disappointment that there was no yellow shirt right in the centre of the goal there. Sweden cleared the ball away. Murray losing out. Nice wide ball to Alex Anderson. Hooker is goal side of him. Ivanovic was anticipating that ball all the way. Anderson looking to milk the foul there, according to Eugene Brazalo. Touched it round Tobin. Tobin's arms went out in innocence, as you would expect from any defender. Spiteri as well, considering there were Swedes all around him. The ball breaks for Arnold. Out wide is Goran Lozanowski. Cross blocked. Blagojevic back wide to Lozanowski. Deep ball in. But Spiteri was offside. This Australian side has been bolstered by the return of the European stars in Arnold and Slater and Kalatz. It's an early chance for Eddie Thompson to work on his blend of Euro and domestic players. Bobby Slater, he hasn't played in Australia since that great game at the Sydney Football Stadium against Argentina 3 years ago now. Nice play from Alex Anderson. Let's lay off. Here's Hakan Mill. Popovic. Arnold forced to hold the ball up. Pushed in the back by the big number 5, Christian Karlsson. Clear foul there as he challenged from behind. Karlsson also making his debut along with Henriksson, Magnus Svensson, the number 15, and also the number 17, Andreas Andersson. Terry lost out again under pressure. Sweden come forward now with Michael Nielsen. Ball broke very nicely indeed for Henriksson. Blagojevic back to Ivanovic. A lot of room to operate there. Murray. Strong challenge by Michael Nielsen on Damien Murray. And straight away, Eugene Brazale goes to the player. There's no yellow card shown, but certainly let the player know that he wasn't happy with that kind of challenge. The ball fell nicely for Murray, but he was hip and shouldered well and truly there by Michael Nielsen. Murray again gave the ball away rather cheaply as well. Lozanowski just lost the ball under his feet. "17 minutes gone here at Suncorp. Australia 0, Sweden 0. Neither side has created any clear-cut openings as yet. Nielsen kept the ball in. Anderson. Back to Roland Nielsen, who's the captain for Sweden tonight. Tobin, good first-time ball to Murray. Blagojevic. This is better for Australia. Wade brings Hooker into the match. Spiteri's wide on the left. Good possession play from the Socceroos. Tony Popovic for Australia. Long ball now tried to switch play, finding Arnold on the far post. Cross was a little underhit, and it was an easy clearance for Christian Karlsson. But some good possession football there, John. Good period, for the first time.
A good period for Australia, and very interestingly, Blagojevic having a very good influence in midfield. Able to get a little bit of control of that central midfield role, and the distribution good. He's available all the time, and it's a good period for Australia.
Nielsen cleared the ball straight to Murray with the deep cross. The goalkeeper was not under pressure. Wade it was who was making his way to the back post, but the cross was never likely to reach that far. Very quickly, Popovic forced to clear away. Won't be kept in, I don't think. Well, he has done very well indeed there to find Nielsen as well. Alex Anderson it was who did the good work on this right-hand side. Here he is again, Alex Anderson. Nielsen, Ivanovic across. Forced to slide in to concede the corner. But again, we see some good play between the number 2, Roland Nielsen, and the number 9, Nicholas Alexanderson. Everyone except Joe Spiteri back for the Socceroos. Work required, because Alexanderson's put the corner behind the goal.
And about his only mistake so far. He's been very impressive, hasn't he, Alexanderson? But a very controlled performance by Australia. The defence is back on top. The timely challenge of Ivanovic there, indicating that he's in his game.
One clearance from Ivanovic. High jump there by Nielsen on the back of Graham Arnold. Just holding his back. Quickly. Not accurately though, and Anderson takes over for Sweden. High ball, Tobin forced to turn and chase. Always awkward for defenders. Waiting until Popovic gets in a good position, and now tall Sydney United defender brought into the match. Chip forward for Arnold. Has to just nudge it back to Blagojevich. Throw into Sweden. Sweden very much a side in rebuilding mode after such a successful World Cup. They were very disappointing in their European Championship season. They only won 2 of their 10 European Championship group matches, and of course that is nowhere near good enough to qualify for Euro 96.
But an amazing record worldwide, a population of 8.5 million, and runners-up in the World Cup in 58, of course, 3rd in 50 and in 94, 4th in 38. Not a bad record.
Throw into Australia. Thompson perhaps a little surprised about getting that decision as well. Lozanovsky did well to win the ball. No one in the centre for Australia. Now Lozanovsky still going. Nice little chip across. And Hackenbild was forced to come back to clear the danger.
Great stuff from Lozanovsky. That's the type of role that Australia needing from him, to overlap on the right. Enough skill to be able to pull the defence and then get the cross in.
He did very well because he had to delay the cross until some yellow shirts were making their way into the penalty area. And he almost picked out his Adelaide teammate in Damien Murray. Throw into Australia. Lozanovsky goes all the way back to Blagojevich. Into the feet of Murray. Good positive play from Damien Murray to shrug a defender off. And that's the sort of thing that these men are looking for, some enterprising play from Damien Murray, not afraid to take his man on. And if he does manage to get halfway past him, the pace of this man will take him all the way. Another corner to Australia. Lozanovsky. Oh, what a save by the goalkeeper. And Graham Arnold cannot believe that. Eddie Thompson was on his feet, and I'm sure he thought that was the opening goal. Arnold won the header brilliantly, and look at that save from Anderson in goal. Well, perhaps he was a little fortunate in the way he finally collected the ball, but the reflex save with the right hand was really quite amazing.
Probably the hardest save for a keeper. close to the body as well. A beautiful corner from Lozanovsky, well struck by Arnold. And Australia a little unlucky there not to have their nose in front.
Four and a half minutes gone here at Suncorp. Still Australia 0, Sweden 0. As Wade helps the ball on to Spiteri. Gojevic did well to win it in the air. Nudged on. Joe Spiteri. A great move between Arnold and Spiteri to create the opening. And you felt sure that if he got a full boot on the ball, that it was the opening goal. He battled for it initially. It was won by Blagojevich in the air, and Arnold, with that great flick, created the chance. And Spiteri fired wide.
Class stuff from Arnie. Look at the flick. Well run on. Good understanding with Spiteri. And nobody knows more than Joe that that should have been 1-0.
Australia very close to opening the scoring with two opportunities in the space of a minute. The first one came directly from the head of Graham Arnold, and he was involved setting up the second one as well for this man, Joe Spiteri. Spiteri has scored twice for his country already in just 4 internationals, which is a real measure for his hunger to succeed on the international stage. Turning away. Couldn't turn away from his marker though. Throw into Sweden. A lot of room for the Swedes to operate. Australia covering most of their attacking options fairly well. Lozanovsky won't have a chance to play the ball because Australia have given away a free kick. A foul by Blagojevich. Mills makes a run to the near post looking for the early free kick. Willie Thompson's watching all the options. There's his counterpart tonight, Tommy Svensson. Good cross to the back post. Cleared by, I think it was Blagojevich or Tobin, but the intervention from Wade while he was lying on the ground really contributed to that. And Wade fouled his man there. Mill, one of the more experienced players in the Swedish lineup. He's played 26 times for his country. He scored 6 goals. Wade hacks it away with the left foot. Arnold got head to ball, but not a lot he could do to direct it to one of his teammates. Murray threw the ball before the man. There was an offside earlier on before Murray got involved in the play. Some of the Swedish substitutes. Amongst them, of course, is Thomas Ravelli, who's played 128 times for his country, which makes him one of the leading internationals in the world in terms of appearances. A real character at USA 94, on the bench tonight. No doubt Australian supporters are keen to get a look at this eccentric player. Sweden try try to work their way into the danger area. Nielsen. The chip for Hacken Mill to turn. Shot came in the end from Henriksen, but there was no danger at all for Zelko Kalatz in goal for Australia. And really, John, you have to say that the Australian defence has got things well and truly under control at this stage.
Well, I'm sure that they coaches would be pleased with what has happened so far in this half. Very, very controlled at the back. Terrific to see Ivanovic really back to his very best. And that involves sweeping a lot in front of the central defenders. Good anticipation. It's been very controlled. Their goal very seldom, if ever, under threat so far in this match.
Certainly Eddie Thompson feels in Ivanovic and Tobin and Popovic. He's got tremendous back three. They can handle the likes of Takagi and Kazimura for Japan. And he's fairly confident that they can handle most that Sweden have got to offer.
And Popovic, of course, the news today that he will be the only locally based player going for that Scotland match late next month. Which really is an honour for Popovic, only 22 years of age.
Zanowski with the free kick. Wade at the back post and waiting. Beaten in the air, though, by number 5, who really is a giant of a man. Christian Karlsson plays for Malmo. All of these Swedish players are part-time players, very similar to the Australian side. Zanowski goes low. Didn't fall nicely for Hooker. Tobin with the touch back to Blagojevich. Great ball out wide to Goran Lozanovski. Chance to get the cross in. Awkward for the goalkeeper. And Goran Lozanovski showing that he can curl across with his left foot equally as well as he can with his trademark right foot.
And again in that move, Blagojevich demonstrating he's having a big influence on what happens in the middle of the park here.
Wilson inside to Hacken Mill. Well played, Blagojevich there to work a yard of space for himself and to find Spiteri, who is such a positive player. Takes on 2, still Spiteri. Arnold in there, just couldn't get on the end of the pass. But the aggression and speed of Joe Spiteri is causing some problems for the Swedes. 32 minutes gone, still no goals, but certainly Australia being the more positive side in front of goal. Erlingmark, haven't seen a lot of Magnus Erlingmark, number 14. Also plays for Gothenburg. One of the more experienced players in the lineup. This is his 32nd international for his country. Zelko Kalatz there playing his 14th international. And more significant for Zelko perhaps, given that he's trying to extend his work permit in the United Kingdom. And international games contribute to that cause. Zanowski, nice touch inside to Blagojevich. Trying to find Murray back again with an early ball in behind the defence. Pressure coming from Arnold. Certainly got a hard-working duo up front, Australia, and Graham Arnold and Spiteri. Blood pouring out of the nose of one of the Swedes there. Temporarily down to 10 men. Zanowski inside, Ivanovic. Nice play from Goran Lozanovski to find Blagojevich. This will enable Australia to switch the play out wide on the left. Little chip in behind from Popovic, and a good run from Joe Spiteri. He lost his marker there, and the flag stayed down. That is the unfortunate face of, I think it's Michael Nielsen. Blood nose and blood mouth. Sweden delaying to make a substitution. They're hoping to get back on the park. Lozanovsky near post. Hooker pressurising. Australia trying to keep the ball in that part of the field. Wade couldn't keep it in.
It's important more's made of the corners. Lozanovsky's last two have been cut out by the first man. I think Australia have a decided advantage in the air, so it is important that he gets it to the players at the far post. Last two corners, which is an area Australia have had so many corners compared with Sweden that a lot more has to be made of them.
Wade got there before Mills. Sweden retained possession through some good work by Alexanderson. Play in behind Lozanovsky to find Erlingmark.
No foul, no foul.
Call from the defence is no foul. That was coming from the goalkeeper, Zelko Kalats.
And a good call, and a feature of Australia's game so far. Very clean defending. No giving away of free kicks in goal-threatening situations.
Michael Nielsen preparing to come back on for Sweden. Just soaking up the blood from the nose and the mouth. Hooker. Spiteri offside. Fairly straightforward style of play from Sweden. The basic 4-4-2 formation. Two wide midfielders.
I think that's probably their problem at the moment, with Australia playing two through the middle. The two fullbacks, the Nielsens, if you like, number 2 and number 13, are the free players, and when in possession they, I believe, have to become a little bit more active if Sweden are to put Australia on the back foot.
For Sweden. On the ball, and a good ball as well in behind the defence, aiming for the run from Alexanderson. It was well cut out though by Popovic. Australia in possession. Wade. Switching play. Awkward for Tobin, but he does well to win it. And not a comfortable ball in that particular situation, with the striker breathing down his neck. Australia lose possession, trying to win the ball back in the centre of midfield. Mill helps it back to number 3, Lukic. Anderson for Sweden now. .37.5 minutes gone here at Suncorp. Still 0-0. Conventional clearance, but effective from Blagojevic. He's so keen to play tonight, Milan Blagojevic, because he missed that second game against Japan, being sent off in the first game, of course.
And looked uncomfortable in that match in midfield. Plays as libero with his club. But tonight he's been one of the pick of the Aussies in this first half.
Australia concede the corner as Zelko Kalats issues instructions to anyone within earshot, really. And Murray forced back. Now he's forced out to put some pressure on the ball as Swedes take a short corner, and Murray copped one there right in the face as the shot came in from Nielsen, and that would have hurt for sure. Nice ball in behind the back of the defence. Here's Anderson for Sweden. Danger for Australia here. Hackenmill. Straight at the goalkeeper. But the best attack of the night so far for Sweden.
First chance.
Kalatz down well to gather the ball and hold on to it, because it took a deflection off the studs of Robbie Hooker. Sweden showing signs perhaps that they're getting back into this match. Australia dominated for a good 20 minutes or so there as Pateri's called offside again. Trying to work his way forward down this right-hand side. Alex Anderson. Hooker. Couldn't keep up with him. Good cross. And so lucky there for Australia, because Alex Tobin almost put it past his own goalkeeper. Great play from Alex Anderson. Came off the thigh of Tobin.
Great cross. Keeper doesn't know where to come or not in that situation. A little bit of a misunderstanding perhaps, but I think you put a lot of that down to the quality of the cross, the placement of it, the curve on it.
It was Erlingmark who came in for Sweden, who had the opportunity to meet the ball with his head. He left it. That's what caused the confusion for Kalatz, but he came out that time, big Zelko Kalatz, and made an awkward cross look very easy indeed. 6'7". Crosses aren't his weakness by any stretch. Awkward here, off the shoulder of Spiteri. Didn't really know where the ball was. It would have been a great pass had he managed to find Graham Arnold, but that would have been something Maradona-like if he had. Two sides met in 1992. There was a 3-match series played throughout Australia. There were 2 Australian wins, both by a goal to nil. Mr. Edwards scored the winner in Adelaide. Paul Wade the winner in Melbourne. And the third and final match in Sweden was a fiery 0-0 draw. So Australia a good record against the Swedes at senior level. They also beat Sweden in the quarter-final of the last Olympic Games. Wilson there, still having some trouble with that bloodied mouth. Kalatz trying to find Wade. Beaten in the air by Nielsen. Blagojevich takes over for Australia. Little dink down the line for Spiteri. Arnold trying to turn the ball back to Spiteri, who continued to run down the line. Erlingmark for Sweden. Now some more time on the ball for Roland Nielsen. Deep switch of play. The goalkeeper comes all the way. Takes a great catch with one hand, pulls it down to his waist, and in one movement just rolls the ball out to Damien Murray to start the attack quickly for Australia. Ivanovic on the ball this time. The Swedish coach, in charge of the side now for just over 5 years. A very successful period as well. The Swedes were ranked #1 in the world going into 1995. The dropped somewhat recently after those disappointing European Championship results. They're now 12th. Forced in field on that occasion to get involved in the match. As we move into the last minute of the first half. To Australia. Lukic in your shot there, not a conventional Swedish name, as you can well imagine. Terry to nudge the ball on, couldn't quite reach it though. Nielsen got in there before him. Puck and milled over his head, finding Andreas Andersson, somewhat fortunately, but Swedes will continue to come forward. Here's Andersson. Away by Hooker. Murray just forced to Topo get long down the field. Arnold's prepared to work hard and chase as the ball goes back to the goalkeeper. Popovic wins it in the air comfortably. The ball given away straight to Robbie Hooker. Spitteri's onside. Nielsen coming back to cover. Spitteri waiting for options in the centre. And here's one of them. Time to tee that one up. A grimace from Thompson. Chances have been few and far between in this first half. But Terry and Arnold have created most of them on their own. But the shot was taken before the balance was fully established. Well picked out by Joe Spitteri. Chase. Waste too much time doing that. Terry trying to get the better of Nielsen. It's half time here at Suncorp. Australia having most of the better chances in the first 45 minutes. Graham Arnold had a header saved when it appeared to be a certain goal for Australia. A tremendous save from Andersson in goal for Sweden. Spitteri also had a good chance, but Alex Tobin almost put through his own goal past Zelko Kalatz late on in the first half, and that was the closest that Sweden came to scoring in this first 45 minutes. A fairly even match, not a lot between the two sides. Australia just with their noses in front on points, but the half-time score here at Suncorp is Australia 0, Sweden 0, and shortly we'll be going down to welcome back to Suncorp as we await the two sides to come back out onto the pitch. Both sets of substitutes being warmed up quite thoroughly at the half-time break. Australia have Jason Petkovic, Jason Polak, Kevin Muscat and Paul Trimboli, the two South Melbourne players, and Dominic Longo out there waiting for their opportunity in the second half. News of Eddie Thompson, it's his 49th birthday today. His counterpart Tommy Svensson is 50. That's not his birthday of course, but they go back a long way, those two. Back in 1992 they were adversaries. I just wonder if the players did anything special for Eddie on his birthday. A victory would probably suffice, I'd say, John.
A couple of goals, second half. Paul Trimboli's birthday too. A little bit younger than Eddie.
27 years old.
27 times going, eh? But Australia's record, we're just talking about it there at half-time, those three games in 92, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0. So it's one of the few, I think, the only European nation that Australia has a positive record against. And to date hasn't conceded a goal. But by the subs warming up there's no change at half-time, Paul. And I wouldn't think so. Except for the last 7 minutes or so, it was very much a game for Australia.
Likely options for Australia on the bench, John, if they did decide to make some changes. Paul Trimboli, perhaps?
Trimboli perhaps coming into midfield is one to make. Trimboli has had a very good performance in the national team in recent times, and his creativity. But I have liked the blend of Arnold and Spiteri in front. I think that the mobility that Spiteri brings, that's his natural game, always opening right side, left side, is a perfect foil for the more experienced Arnold, who was in fine touch, which is quite amazing. Players travel one side of the world to the other, a couple of days break, and then can perform. I think we should say in Sweden's defence, they did only arrive yesterday, albeit from Hong Kong. It'll be interesting to see what effect that, if any, has on them in this second half. But from Australia's point of view, more of the same, really. It's been a very good first half, good solid defence, some good breaking out. Nice, efficient distribution, nothing fancy, but just quite efficient in midfield to open the game up for them. And I would think they are looking for more of the same in the second half.
Sweden it is who will get the second half underway here at the Suncorp Stadium. The last international game played here was just over a year ago, when Australia played out a 0-0 draw with Colombia. One of a two-match series. Half-time here, of course, it's 0-0 as well. And as we've already shown at the half-time break, chances to Graham Arnold and Joe Spiteri. We've seen Australia go in with a couple of goals advantage. There'll be many pleasing factors for Eddie Thompson out of the first half, without a doubt, and the performance of this man, Milan Blagojevic, in the centre of midfield would be one of those without a doubt. Plays it sweeper for his club UTS Olympic. But a real talent to slot anywhere into the centre of the park as Sweden start the second half coming forward. Ozanovsky with the long clearance to thump the ball into the chest of Spiteri. Murray, still Murray going all the way on his own, looking for Graham Arnold, but the ball's broken nicely for Spiteri. On the back post, it's Hooker. And he didn't really know where the ball was, and somehow managed to direct it towards goal. I think it came off him as he, well, perhaps it came off a defender in the end. But a good positive start to the second half for the Socceroos, and again Arnold and Spiteri combining nicely, including Damien Murray in the move on this occasion. Throw-in was Australia's way, not Sweden's way. The big number 5. Hooker with possession for Australia, and Ivanovic comes into the game, coming forward from the back, trying to find Hooker again. The ball in behind the fullback. What have Sweden got to offer in this second half? Milled. Back to Nielsen. Switching play to another Nielsen, Michael Nielsen. Wade. Trying to find Joe Spiteri, who just peeled out to the right to find some space for himself. Swedish supporters here, and there are a healthy band of them as well, as is so often the case at sporting events in Australia. Starting to make a bit of noise. Throw into Australia. Lozanowski will take it. A very lively first half. Pleased with the way that he's making the step up to the big league. On ball forward, hoping for Graham Arnold to get on the end of it. A direct approach there from Australia. That would have caught the Swedes by surprise somewhat. Down the line. Blagojevich, time on the ball now. Good ball to Spiteri. Turns into trouble. Mori helps him out. Arnold with a little touch. Just too far away from the outstretched foot of Damien Mori. And Anderson takes over for Sweden. Tobin clears the ball away. Lozanowski, long. Arnold hoping for the defender to miss it, but he was steady under it, Roland Nielsen. There he is again, the Swedish captain. Switching play to Carl Nielsen. Svensson. Popovic, as ever, dominating in the air. Ball fell nicely for Alexanderson. Good passage of play this for Sweden as Australia struggle to get out of their own half.
Eugene, will you leave that linesman alone?
Fairly clear instructions for the referee from Eddie Thompson there. Three men in the wall for Australia as Eugene Bazale marches them back. Tommy Svensson, the Swedish coach, watching on. Plenty of fight in this Australian defence. You would expect them to comfortably handle the set pieces. It's cleared back over the own goal line by Tony Popovic, who was watchful of the number 14 for Sweden, Erlingmark, who was behind him. Good enough to guide the ball away. Kallat stayed on his line, and Sweden have a corner. It's 2 or 3 meters off the goal line, waiting to come for it. Ball's back for Mild. Not a bad shot either from the Swedish midfielder. Came over. The goalkeeper stayed on his line. It wasn't cleared effectively by Australia. The shot in the end, 2 or 3 meters over the crossbar of Zelko Kalats. Håkan Mild, very experienced player, played in the USA in the World Cup in '94. 6 goals for his country to date. Blagojevich. Feet of Spiteri. Nice ball from Spiteri to switch play to Lozanowski. Showed a bit too much of the ball there to Nielsen, who continues to run forward. There's no one in a forward position for Sweden. And Kalats couldn't pick the ball up because it would have been deemed as a back pass after the challenge from Goran Lozanowski. John, this is a good passage of play for the Swedes. They've really pinned Australia back for the last 5 minutes or so.
One of their better periods. Again, their 3 men are on either flank. The 2 Nielsens, number 2 and number 13. And what they're doing, what they probably weren't doing enough of in the first half, is good switching of the ball, utilising the 3 man. But I do believe they need, if they're to convert their dominance at the moment, just still a little bit more in an attacking sense from both of these players. But in terms of possession, they're switching the play quite well. and making life a little bit difficult for Australia. They haven't seen that much of the ball in the second half.
Signals that the ball's coming up the field early. And Arnold makes ready to challenge in the air, and it's fallen nicely for Damien Murray. Tries a shot on his own. Well, 16 goals in the Ericsson Cup so far this year. He's got every right to do exactly that. He must be at the height of his confidence. Goals from long range, no problem for Damien Murray either. Terry almost got on the end of a poor goal kick, but Lozanowski coming forward, still going Lozanowski. Spiteri in. Arnold's in the centre. Deep cross, there's Arnold waiting for it. But the head of Roland Nielsen just intervened. And Spiteri measured the cross to Arnold, but despite the fact that Arnold threw himself at the ball and ended up on his chest.
Terrific move from Australia involving Spiteri, Lozanowski, but all the experience of Nielsen there, faced with two attackers, read the ball and saved Sweden from what would have been a great goal.
Lets it run out. It's another corner to Australia.
Pity matches weren't decided on corner kicks before.
Australia would be well ahead for sure.
They need to utilise, I again believe there is an advantage in the air here. It's like Popovic, Wade, Tobin, Arnold.
Lozanowski as the Thames corner taker, forced to go from one side to the other. Good ball in, well cleared away there by the defence, and it had to be as well because Tobin was lurking on the near post for Australia. Wade just coming back onside. Long ball from Ivanovic down the centre. Touched back to Popovic. Now Wade finds an Australian with a little bit more room to operate. Ivanovic. Nielsen again positioned well enough to avert the danger. Still Australia in possession. The throw in from Hooker. Got a chip inside to Henriksen. Play will be stopped while Sweden make a substitution. Number 6, Sebastian Henriksen, who makes way on debut for number 16, Peter Vibrandt.
Very interesting, that change. He goes almost straight away to Blagojevic. Almost an instruction that Sweden need to limit the influence of Blagojevic in the middle of the park.
Response immediate from Eddie Thompson and Australia. Jason Polak prepares to come on. Still unsure as to who will make way. Popovic with the long ball, finding Murray. Couldn't keep control of the ball, and it ran through to Bengt Andersson in the goal. Sweden. Here's Nielsen. Plenty of room for him on the left-hand side here. Gone, Ivanovic. Blagojevic looking for a run from Spiteri, but found Nielsen again positioned perfectly. Swedish captain, a chip through from number 15, Svensson. Both sides really not able to dominate the other. At the same time, they're fairly comfortable containing the other. still waiting to make an entrance into this match. Now he'll have an opportunity as Terry's offside. Waiting. He'll get a big cheer, I'm sure, from the home crowd. The Brisbane striker Jason Polak comes on. And Paul Wade it is who makes way for him. Arnold with the layoff. Blagojevich waiting for support from the left. Comes from hooker. Spiteri straight into an offside position. And again, offside is blamed for by Eugene Brazale. Australian captain Paul Wade. It's a breather. 14.5 minutes gone in the second half. Still Australia 0, Sweden 0. Blagojevich back to Tobin. Nice play. Blagojevich well involved again in the second half after a lively first half as well. Terry back to Polak. Very comfortable at the Suncorp Stadium. Jason Polak, Queensland boy. Of course, Suncorp the home ground of the Brisbane Strikers as well. As Ivanovic finds a way into a gap. Lost the ball though in a dangerous position. Anderson takes it for Sweden. Players forward here for the Swedes. Shot comes in just past the post from Alex Anderson, and that is the danger of Sweden on the break. And it all came about because of an uncharacteristic error by Ivanovic in the middle of the midfield.
And it's the danger of being overconfident against such a team. It was probably the first time we've seen Ivanovic adventure forward, dispossessed and nearly caught out.
Well, it's a tight match here at Suncorp. You sense that perhaps just 1 or 2 goals may separate these two sides. Ivanovic again comes out to meet the ball. He's beaten this time. Roland Nielsen for Sweden. Good cross in. Ivanovic perfectly placed. Still not clear though. Deflection. Well, the Swedes are complaining that the deflection was clearly off an Australian, which was difficult to confirm after the replay. But it's a goal kick, and a smile on Eddie Thompson's face tells us that perhaps they were right. Blagojevich back to Tobin. Chip forward for Murray, who manages to flick the ball on. Now here's number 15, Svensson. Dangerous position this, but he showed an awful lot of the ball to Tobin, who at short notice gave Zelko Kalats a touch and applauded the goalkeeper for coming off his line so quickly. Milled. Olszanowski in very quickly on his man. Chip in behind. Anderson onside. Ivanovic across. Svensson straight to the boot of the Australian sweeper. Waiting for support, but he was bundled off the ball very well indeed there by Magnus Svensson. Anderson. for Mill. Little ball forward. Luckily for Australia, a hooker was coming across to cover from that left fullback position because it was a nice little move by the Swedes. The goalkeeper comes, and it's an easy take when you're 6'7". But Sweden, John, continuing really to show the way to Australia here. They're dominating, aren't they?
They are. It's been a much better second half for Sweden. We posed the question whether the slight jet lag might take its effect on them, but it's had anything but. I do feel if Nielsen on the left flank here becomes more involved in their attacks, they really will put Australia under even more pressure. He's very much a luxury. Here he is in possession now. Look at the amount of space that he has. I don't feel that either in the first half or in the second that he's utilised that space to the advantage of his teammates.
Hill, Alexanderson also in space down the right. Very deep cross. Managed to be kept in by Svensson. Stake. Side netting. Well, the Swedish fans were on their feet. Eddie Thompson probably had a good view from there that it wasn't going in. But Kallat certainly lunged to the left just to make sure. More signs that Sweden are looking the more likely of the two sides on show to score tonight. Corner to the visitors, deep. Early mark up well. Kallat comes.
Don't go too much in the
Instructions there. Graham Arnold, I think that was. Razanovsky will take the throw. Dragojevic not marked on the edge of the penalty area. Tobin forced to turn. Sense a little bit of urgency coming from Eddie Thompson now as time ticks on in the second half. We've had over 21 minutes. Still the Socceroos have shown no real signs of opening up the Swedish defence. Official crowd over the PA. Just over 10,000 people here at Suncorp tonight. Dragojevic gets things moving quickly for Australia. Lozanovsky. Dragojevic involved again, and more so for Australia, which is a good thing without a doubt. Popovic. For Sweden. Nice run outside him from Svensson. Tobin and Ivanovic, two very difficult customers to get past. Murray, little touch around his man. One back there by Sweden. Svensson cuts inside. Good shot too. Awkward for the goalkeeper because it moved in the air. But Kallat's managed to both get his body behind the ball and also hang on to it. And a quick clearance also from Kallat to get Australia well on their way down that left-hand side. But the offside flag went up. Australia were foiled there. There's the space, John, that you were talking about with Nielsen on this left-hand side.
Well, thankfully for Australia's perspective, he's not utilising it. He is effectively the free man most of the time.
Anderson. Sweden make another substitution. Svensson goes off. Just not sure who came on for Sweden there as soon as we get to see his number. It's like number 7, Stefan Landberg. Australia also prepared to make a change as it's Kevin Muscat who will be coming on shortly. Popovic for the Socceroos. Inside to Bogojevic, who's coming more and more into the match. Mori.
That will probably mean Lozanovsky pushing forward. I'm assuming Mori may be the player going off. Muscat into that right back role. No,
Lozanovsky to go off.
Lozanovsky off.
Straight swap, wide midfielder or wide fullback. Another player of a similar style, Muscat. He was well involved in the first half, Goran Lozanovsky, but he's had a quieter time of it in this second half. All more valuable experience for a young player with a lot of potential. Five and a half minutes gone here at Suncorp. Australia 0, Sweden 0. The trend between these two nations continuing of tight matches. Similar styles of play. Similar standards of players. It means it's always going to be a tough encounter. Just sense that one of the two sides needs to find the back of the net, and it would give them some confidence to perhaps go on and really turn it on. But neither has shown any real signs of puncturing the other's defence. Muscat may make a difference. Throws down the line to Mori. Turns inside. Kick against Kevin Muscat. Would have watched the results at half-time, no doubt, to discover that his South Melbourne side drew 0-0 with the Brisbane Strikers at Lakeside. Bogojevic goes back. The ball for a sweeper. Okay. Trying to bring it down under pressure. Hooks it down the line. Arnold was prepared to chase, but certainly the service that Graham Arnold and Joe Spiteri have been receiving in the second half hasn't quite been up to the standard in the first 45. Brisbane. Here's a goal kick. Milan Ivanovic, his 39th international. Dominic Longo finds time to sign an autograph while stretching. Paul Trimboli also warming up for Australia. Terry. Good ball control there from the goalkeeper, Anderson. Ball forward down the line, looking for Murray, but Sweden take over again. Mills, nice play. Finding Nielsen coming forward. Not a bad shot, awkward for the goalkeeper because it came off a defender. But the long reach of Zelko Kalac assisted him there. That was the deflection. He had it covered either way.
And there's my point about Sweden tonight. If the two fullbacks had been more involved in attacking moves, they would have had Australia under a lot more pressure. We saw Nielsen there, number 2, and of course Michael Nielsen, number 13 on the left flank.
Rats comes and gathers comfortably. It's Thomas Ravelli just in the shot for a moment there, the experienced keeper. Hopefully we'll get a look at him perhaps in Sydney on Wednesday. Helped on there. Well shielded out by Ivanovic.
And just on Wednesday, Paul speaking to Robbie Slater on the sideline there at half-time, he's 100% confident he'll be fit to play on Wednesday at Sydney. He was a very popular player, Sydney born and bred player, popular with all Australian fans, a growing reputation, particularly the World Cup games against Argentina where he was quite outstanding. One would think a big draw card in Sydney for Wednesday night with Robbie Slater playing.
Hopefully also Denny Tiato will have recovered from his particular problem. As Kalats takes on a man and clears the ball long with the left foot straight to the head of Graham Arnold. Well, Australia can score here. It'll be Kalats.
Well, there's few better goal kickers with the feet than Kalats. Probably Igita would be better. But a fine field player, Zelko Kalats. Of course, an integral part of any goalkeeper's equipment nowadays to be able to play on the ground. You'll note in his distribution, it's not just a punt upfield, it's always 9 times out of 10 his long passes find a teammate.
Andreas Anderson, a good powerful surge through the centre. And a pass to match as well to bring Vibran into the game. Alex Anderson. Nielsen. Queuing up on the edge of the penalty area. Hawkenmild. Nice ball in behind the defence. Danger for Australia here. Alex Anderson got it across, but couldn't make the cross go to a player in a dangerous position. In the end, it fell to the number 16, Peter Vibran, who couldn't direct the header towards goal. But a good switch of play by Stefan Landberg, the number 7, the substitute who came on to pick out Alex Anderson behind the Australian defence. 32 minutes gone here at Suncorp. Still Australia 0. Sweden 0. Nielsen with the bandage on the end of the nose. Tobin just trying to make it awkward for Erlingmark, who does well. Sweden keep possession. Nielsen. Back to Popovic. Murray making a run through the centre. He's straight into an offside position though. And that is a great ball from Popovic to pick out Arnold wide on the right. Graham Arnold has had a quieter second half. He was very much a focal point in the first 45. Time running out for both sides if they're going to take the initiative here at Suncorp. Ivanovic in the air. Too good for his opponent. Trimboli and Dominic Longo still warming up on that far side. chip in was accurate. Tobin now has time to clear. Ivanovic, Arnold back to Ivanovic. Nice play out of defence by Australia. Jason Polak. Murray through the centre. Lets it run. Still Murray. He must be brought down there on the edge of the penalty area. A yellow card to big Christian Carlson. But an opportunity here. And that really was a bad tackle. Not quite in a goal-scoring position, John.
Not much in it though, was there? Certainly a yellow. Some may say a red, but Murray was through.
Now a chance here for Australia from the set piece. Arnold and Blagojevich. Two men over the ball. Everyone back for Sweden in their penalty area. Arnold! Well, it didn't lack the view for Eddie Thompson's position. He was right behind the free kick. It was about a metre over the goalpost of Bernd Andersen. Nothing subtle about it. We're into the last 10 minutes here at Suncorp. Is there a chance of a victory for either of these two sides? And one individual just come up with one bit of brilliance to separate the two. Casuals up to the covenants there. Two attempts to get the ball under control. Massive clearance up the field, chased by Spiteri. Some of the looks on the bench of the Swedes. Certainly struggle to score goals in this country. The score remains at 0-0. That will be the fourth occasion that Sweden have played a match in Australia and have failed to score. Hooker fouled.
Take it back.
Looks on the faces of both coaches, trying to pitch their wits against each other, swap a player to a different position, perhaps bring on a substitute to try and change things on the park. Arnold wins it for Australia. The overhead there was by Polak. It's awkward. It's still not clear for Sweden, as it was like a pinball machine in there just for a moment. The free kick for challenge by one of the Australians goes to Sweden. Arnold won the first one in the air, and that was what caused the problems. Polak tried the overhead. Sweden couldn't clear the ball. Finally, they just managed to put it away. Touch on by Landberg, the substitute. Mark cuts inside, looking for the far post where Alex Anderson lurks. Nice ball out wide again from Landberg, who's impressed since he's come on as substitute. Thomas Ravelli needs a shave, ready for action if required. Back. Muskets, nowhere for him to go either. Flicked on, there's a spare man at the back, it's Jason Polak. But Nielsen got there first. And again, the quality of the defending from Nielsen was first class because he was outnumbered there.
World-class defender. That's what makes him things like that. We saw it earlier on, two attackers against him. He's been able to read it properly again, two attackers. One of the features of the match has been his defensive performance and also that of Ivanovic again, particularly that ability to be able to sweep in front of the defensive duo of Tobin and Popovic. I think that's why Australia haven't been in it as much in the second half. They just haven't had the support from behind that they did have in that first period. There's a lot of support, particularly from Popovic. Been a little bit tied down. Defensive duty in the second half, and that has been missed.
Just on Roland Nielsen, we talk about the Australian players coming back to play at home when their careers are finished. Roland Nielsen now 32. After 5 years in England, he has gone back to play in his home country and now works as a stockbroker as well as playing soccer. Minutes remaining, still 0-0. Ball across, two Swedes there, hits the post. The goal is finished off. And there is a twist in the tail of this tight match. As Sweden take the lead with less than 5 minutes remaining. Thompson will be so disappointed to concede a goal so late in the match, but this is how they did it. The first header hit the post and the follow-up also hit the post, but Sweden have managed to scramble it across the line and they've taken the lead at a crucial part of the game. Here's the goal scorer there, I believe. The number 16, Peter Vibran. Desperate stuff for Australia now. Murray working his way in there, across the goal. And Anderson down. Murray did well to get past his man. The pace is there for all to see. There was no one waiting at the near post for Australia. Food for thought for Eddie Thompson for the match for Wednesday. He would have been fairly certain of coming out of this match with at least a share of the spoils, the way it was winding down. That's out of position. Is this a second for Sweden? Surely. It is indeed. 2 goals in a minute. Two scorers embrace, and this time it's Andreas Andersson who finished Australia's off as Kallat was caught way out of position there. The long ball was over the back of the Australian defence. Kallat came all the way out, but it was a poor clearance. Ivanovic helped it on to Anderson, who then had Tobin to beat on the goal line. And a simple finish for an international striker, on debut too as well. 2 goals in about 30 seconds, John.
And chances there. I think that it's so tight at international football now. There's very little between, irrespective of which teams play, and quite simply you have to take their chances. Sweden have done that. It's ironic that 2 of the players we were praising earlier, A, Kallat for his distribution with the feet, and B, Ivanovic for his superb performance tonight, to basic errors. They do happen, and Sweden good enough to capitalise on them.
Well, Australia really shell-shocked by this finish by Sweden. They're talking about something special required by a player or a move, and this is, well, I thought for a moment there Sweden were looking at their third goal. Well tackled by Blagojevich. Arnold. Terry and Nielsen tangling there. But it's a Swedish throw. In the last minute of play here, and finally Tommy Svensson has seen his side score a goal in this country. Not only one, but two. Run. Talatz makes a better job of the clearance this time. I'm sure he was very careful with that one. He'd be disappointed with that earlier effort, I'm sure. Hilt, nice play. Substitute, Landberg. Strong challenge there by Muscat. Rugby played the ball. Free kick will go to Sweden, no. Sure he hasn't got a case either there, Kevin Muscat. Up on his feet though is Nielsen. See the blood on his shirt from the earlier incident. At least he's lost the bandage around his nose. Ball in, Ivanovic away. That is the final whistle in the tradition of tight matches between these two nations. It continued for 85 minutes tonight before Sweden finally broke the deadlock. They had two very quick goals by Vibran and Anderson. They've been too good for the Socceroos tonight, but John, looking forward to Wednesday, what do you think is the plan for Australia to get back at these Swedes?
Well, I think full marks to Sweden. The second half was a much better performance from them. They did dominate the second half. They took their chances, something which Australia was unable to do in the first half. I think there will be obviously a lot of lessons. Eddie Thompson, no doubt now in the post-match interview, will tell us some of them that Australia will learn. The inclusion of Slater, of course, will add a little bit of experience in attack. But Australia, who supported so well from behind the attacking duo in the first half, were unable to do that in the second. And therein, I felt, lay the key of the game. We can look back and say, well, perhaps somebody like a Trimboli, a creative player, should have been brought on to try and decide the match. But the coaches play it as they see it, and Eddie obviously did that, and quite simply Sweden took their chances and we didn't.
It really was a game of two halves, wasn't it? We dominated so much in the first half, and had some chances gone in, perhaps it would have been a different story, but his chances are no good in international football.
But that is to deny the comeback of Sweden. I mean, we tend, when you look at a game, you look at your own team, but I think let's give credit to Sweden. They only arrived here yesterday. They've had a good series up in Hong Kong, and no doubt they would be a little bit tired. They've put on a very good, particularly in the second half, performance, and it does give something Australia to work at for that match in Sydney on Wednesday evening.
Well, it's Eddie Thompson's birthday today, his 49th in fact, and he couldn't have had a worse score, of course, for that particular occasion. A little bit of a dampener for Eddie. but he will respond, no doubt, for the match on Wednesday night. And we'll just cross down to Les Murray now on the touchline.
Thanks very much, Paul, and I have the two coaches with me. Firstly, Swedish coach Tommy Svensson. Congratulations must go to him. We haven't had a chance to congratulate you on the terrific World Cup effort too, by the way, Tommy. But well done tonight. Your first goals in Australia after so many games. You must be pleased.
Yes, I'm very pleased. We had some problems the first 30 minutes when Australia played very well and had a couple of good opportunities to score. But after some time, I think that our players came into the game and played a little bit better, and we had a strong finish.
How did you solve that problem that you had earlier? Was it tactical or just the players coming more into the game, as you said?
Yes, they came more into the game, and also we changed a little bit the style of playing. So we went a moment to a 4-3-3 to strengthen the midfield in the center and to use the wings, and that thing was good for us, I think.
Okay, you're in preparation stage as you were a few years ago when you were here. How do you see this team evolving for you, given that you did so well in the USA?
Well, I think that we have a better ground to stand on this time than we had in '92. So I think that this is a good preparation for us and for many of the young players who now are playing here for the first time.
And your evaluation of the Australians as opposed to '92?
Well, I think we had a very tough game, and they are improving all the time, and I am sure that they will qualify for the World Cup, and I hope we meet them there again.
Well, that'll be nice. Tommy, thanks very much for talking with us. Good luck on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy Svensson. Eddie Thompson's here. Eddie has got a smile on his face, but not a very big one today. A little bit rough at the end for you, Eddie.
Yeah, a bit disappointing. I think we played well enough to get a draw. I think we tired a bit the last 15 minutes. We tried to patch it up a bit, but I think giving away a couple of silly goals there near the end was very disappointing, and maybe we should have had a couple of goals in the first half ourselves.
Okay, well, let's give some excuses first. Obviously, Danny Tieto's dropping out was a bit of a problem as we look at the first of the two goals. A little bit of a problem from Zelko there. Perhaps he should have palmed it around, Eddie. But obviously you had earlier problems when things didn't evolve for you as they may have done had Danny Tieto played.
Yeah, well, Danny went down with a virus at 5 o'clock tonight and had to pull it at the very last minute. So obviously it was a bit of a blow because we lack a bit of pace in the team, and Danny has that bit of pace coming for the full-back position just to give us that extra bit of dash as far as forward play. Well, but I thought we played well. I thought in the first half we played well. Second half we lost our way. We were starting to knock too many long balls. We should have gone through the midfield a lot more. Gave away a lot of possession. If you give possession to these teams, you get beat.
Many changes for Wednesday?
No, I don't think there'll be many changes. There might be a couple. Robbie Slater should be fit for Wednesday. Apart from that, we'll just have to have a look and see how the injuries are.
Eddie, thanks very much. Good luck on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Australian coach Eddie Thompson, and of course the two teams meet again at the Sydney Football Stadium on Wednesday evening. Sydney fans do come out for that one. It's an important international, and of course SBS will have a full delayed telecast right around the country at 9:30 that evening. Before then, our program on the Ericsson Cup is back again tomorrow evening at 7:30, and we hope to see you then. For the moment, from the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, thank you for joining us. Good night.